Big news in the Indiana basketball coaching search. A report says that Ben McCollum from Drake has emerged as a top candidate for the job.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Well, thank you so much for being here and making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. A jam-packed show for you today. We'll wrap things up with some of those sad comments from Oumar Ballo talking about the fans and how they just have to treat the players better. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Plus, is Indiana in or out of the NCAA tournament after falling short again in Oregon? And I got some bad news for you. But good news and some possible breaking news and big news, I think, is according to a report, Ben McCollum from Drake, the head coach there at Drake, his first year in big-time Division I basketball, he has emerged as a top candidate to be the next head coach for Indiana basketball. I'm sure you've all seen the report by now from Jeff Goodman from the Field of 68. He says, quote, Drake coach Ben McCollum has emerged as one of the top candidates for the Indiana opening and has really impressed Indiana AD Scott Dolson, source told the Field of 68. He goes on to say McCollum, age 43, has led Drake to the Missouri Valley regular season and tournament titles in his first season since taking over. He was previously a D2 Northwest Missouri State. So, this is not blowing smoke. This is a legitimate report. Now, you are more than welcome as a fan of Indiana, of this show, of Jeff Goodman, of whatever you are a fan of. You are more than welcome to buy into this and believe it or not so much. And whatever your reasoning is totally fine. But this is a legit thing. This has been happening. And I've told you this on this particular program. And not just about Ben McCollum, but some of these names we've been talking about, I'm not just pulling them out of nowhere. They're not just falling out of the sky and I'm throwing them up here to get you in here. That's not what's happening here. Ben McCollum is a legit candidate. And you heard something in that quote where he tweeted it out that's very, very important to make that true. Here's the kicker here. He says he has really impressed Indiana AD Scott Dolson, which means people have talked to him. People have had, or basically Indiana has seen him and at least had some sort of a conversation, whether it's with McCollum himself or his camp. There have been conversations. And I think this has happened with several big name coaches. And Ben McCollum is one that we've had on this show, or had the conversation on this show about how if it works, it could be a slam dunk home run next 25-year type of guy, right? He coached at D2. He was great in D2. You heard at Northwest Missouri State. Then he gets his first, you'll say, big time gig, his first D1 job. All he did was make Drake 30-3 this season. You heard it there. They're the regular season champs and they're the conference tournament champs, and they're going to be dancing in the NCAA tournament. He's a really good coach, and Drake is a really good team. There are some drawbacks, though, for me that I've already talked about that we're going to revisit, and I think there may be some drawbacks from the fans as well who wear the IU colors, and it's the fact that he's not the big sexy name. He's not Chris Beard. He's not Bruce Pearl. He's not Scott Drew. He's not Brad Stevens, right? He's none of those. A lot of people, if this hire were to be made, have to look up who is Ben McCollum? Where does Ben McCollum coach? What is his record? Like, those things have to happen. But I'm not saying they're a bad thing. I'm just saying and kind of portraying what a lot of fans have said so far when we've talked about this guy previously. Another thing that may draw people back is the style of play that Drake has. If you like defense, they got it. They don't give up more than about 50 points a game right now in college basketball, which is incredible. It's one of the best in the country. They also don't score but about 70 points a game. And you want to start talking some of the ranks on where their stats are, okay? They average 70 points a game. That's good for 282nd in college basketball. They shoot it from the floor at 48%. That's good. That's pretty solid as a team, right? That's 30th in the country. Their 2-point percentage is 200 or is 44th. Their 3-point percentage is 93rd. So not bad. They shoot the ball well. They just don't shoot it a lot. Their pace of play is one of the slowest in the country. Their point total is one of the lowest in the country, but they play really, really good defense. So they are more about, hey, we're not going to get out and run. We're going to run 5-on-5 half-court sets. We're going to take up time. We're going to get a bucket at the end of the shot clock, and we're going to run down and play defense on the other end. That's how Ben McCollum's teams have played. They played like that when he was in D2. I've gone back and looked at some of the numbers there. They played the exact same way. And so you can argue whether it's entertaining or not. You can argue whether you want that or not, but it works. It wins so far, anyway, so far. And I think the reason he has emerged as a top candidate here in a big new situation is because he wins. And the idea has to be from Scott Dolson. If I'm putting myself in his position for a second, it's, man, look at what he's doing at Drake in 1 year. Imagine what he could do at IU. Imagine what he could do in Bloomington with the money, with the resources, with the fans, with everything at his disposal. Imagine what he could do. And it seems to me, given some of the names that have already come off the list and ones that are starting to get some buzz, it seems like Indiana's not going for just the biggest name possible that could hopefully work out for 5 or 6 years. Seems like they're going for the guy that could work out for 20 or 30 years. And I don't think that's a terrible idea, but with somebody like Ben McCollum, it better work out because it's a huge risk. Who knows if he can handle the pressure? Who knows if he can handle the fish bowl that we talk about, right? I mean, can he handle it? We have no idea. He's going to tell you that he can, and he's probably going to convince you that he can. But truly, can he do it? And you don't know until they get in it. And that's the unfortunate part of all of this. But that's where this agency comes in that Indiana hired, the same one that found Kurt Signetti. They are helping with this coaching process. And if they believe it, then maybe it's true. I don't know. But I'm just reacting to what we saw with a report from Jeff Goodman, who says that Ben McCollum, the head coach at Drake, has emerged as a top candidate for the Indiana head coaching job and has impressed the AD Scott Dolson enough for it to at least get out to us. So he's there. He's on the list, and he's going to be considered he's going to be considered to be an option as one of the next head coaches for Indiana basketball. All right, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, and we'll talk a little actual basketball as Indiana did play yesterday, unfortunately, and they lost to Oregon again in the Big Ten tournament. And while that's bad news, there may be more on the way. We'll have that for you coming up next right here on the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Nissan. We're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team, plus the gear, wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take the adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more today at nissanusa.com. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Look, with tournament games happening almost every day now, with whether it's the champ week, right, for college, for conference championships, or it's the NCAA tournament, there's always something exciting to bet on. And the FanDuel app is so easy to use. And when I win, I get paid instantly. There's no waiting around, and you will be the same. So visit fanduel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. That's fanduel.com. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here again, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. And if you are listening on audio, which those numbers are going up, so there seems to be more of you. So thank you so much for that. Be sure you are following us if you can. Have those notifications turned on. When we post episodes, I want it to come straight to your phone, to your computer, whatever the best thing to do. Be sure that you are being notified every time we post a new episode, okay? We'll have some stuff this weekend for Selection Sunday. So you definitely want to make sure you are staying tuned in for that. And then leave us a 5-star review if you can on your platform. That helps us out a lot as well. And for those of you watching on YouTube every single day, you know the drill. Like the video, hit that thumbs up. It's a huge help to us. Gets it out there for the YouTube algorithm, however the heck that thing works. Leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments down below. Ben McCollum. Yes, no, maybe so. Let me know on your thoughts on him being the next head coach. Plus, as we're getting into this topic of in or out of the tournament, do you believe that Indiana will make the NCAA tournament? I want to hear from you in the comments as well. And then if you have not already, subscribe to our channel just to give you an update on what that number looks like. 4848. How about that as we're recording right now? 4,848. We're on our way to 49 and eventually to 5K. So thank you so much for doing all of that and being a part of this wonderful Locked On Hoosiers community. Well, good news is, I don't know. I don't think I have any. Bad news is Indiana loses to Oregon in the Big Ten tournament again, and it's not looking good for NCAA tournament hopes. We'll get to that in just a second, but the Hoosiers take on Oregon yesterday in what was a good game until it got kind of down the stretch, right? And the first half was just disgusting. I mean, just disgusting was this first half. Indiana scores 29 points. Oregon was right there with us. They go on a run. What was it? 8-0, 10-0 run there at the end of the first half, and they're up by 8 to end this first 20 minutes. And you're like, okay, all right. We played like crap. They went on a run. Let's come out and play with some energy. God, how many times have we said that this year? And we'll be okay. And magically, we did. We did. We came out. The first couple of minutes to start the second half in this game were awesome. I mean, all the momentum was with us. All the energy was with us. And then boom, we're right back in it. And then we just couldn't get stops. We couldn't make a bucket, get a stop, make a bucket. We just couldn't do what we needed to do. And I feel like we couldn't figure out what we wanted to do either, whether that was on offense or whether that was with the personnel we had on the floor. I don't know, man. I just felt like we were a little confused and wasn't necessarily foul trouble, believe it or not. I mean, you have Mackenzie and Baco with 12 points who hit some big shots early in that second half and in the first half too, where he had 3 fouls, but nothing crazy there. You got 8 points from Oumar Ballo, 15 from Trey Galloway. He continues to play very, very well. You got 19 from Malik Reneau coming off the bench, played just 24 minutes, so a little questionable there. But that's it. You didn't get a whole lot. And only scoring 59 points in a conference tournament game in major Power 5 basketball, it's just not going to get it done. Defensively, you did your job. I mean, 72 points against that Oregon squad is solid. Shellstad got his per usual. Bamba got his per usual. But then you let somebody like Angle come in and Barthélemy get in there with 9. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. We went back to our roots, and down the stretch, it looked like we ran out of gas, which shouldn't have been the case. And I don't know if that was physical gas or mental gas, right? And I'm talking energy-wise here. I just feel like that's where we were. But that shouldn't have been the case. This was our first game since last Saturday. We had almost 4 full days off, and we had to travel the shortest distance to get to the Big Ten tournament. And yet, this is the performance we put on. And not only was this a performance we put on, this was the performance we put on with what seemed to be our tournament hopes on the line, right? Our lives were at stake here in this game, because when this game tipped off, according to Joe Lunardi, who has been updating his bracketology, it seems by the hour, when this game started, we were one of the last 4 in. We were still a tournament team, but we had to win this game, and we didn't. And now, as you look at it as of Friday morning, we're out. We're not in. And it's a combination of things, okay? It's the fact that we lost to Oregon in the Big Ten tournament by double digits. It's also the fact that North Carolina won their first game in the ACC tournament, being Wake Forest. I think it's worthless. I think North Carolina's a terrible team. Their resume shows it, but they got moved up regardless. And then it didn't help that Texas, who was behind us, who was flirting with that first 4 out for a while, not only did they win their first round game of the SEC tournament against Vanderbilt, they also got a win over a top 25 team in Texas A&M yesterday. That was brutal. That was crushing for our hopes of Indiana getting to the NCAA tournament. Here's the problem. The 2 teams in front of you, in terms of the last 4 in, it's Texas and North Carolina. We are legitimately the first team out. Ohio State is below us, Boise State, Colorado State, teams that are done. Teams that are done. Teams that the teams in front of us have already done enough to get in. Clearly, Joe Lunardi has put them in. But we're done playing too. And that's why that win over Oregon was so big. We wouldn't even be in this situation. That win over Oregon would have put us in. It would have come down to North Carolina making a run in the ACC tournament and possibly beating Duke, which with Cooper Flagg's injury is very possible. But you get what I'm saying here. I told you how important this game was against Oregon, and we didn't take it. We didn't take advantage. And now we may just miss the NCAA tournament. I will say, Joe Lunardi is not on the committee. He is not the one who puts the brackets together, right? He just predicts what they're going to do. The committee very well might put Indiana in. I'm pulling up right now what Jerry Palm at CBS Sports has. And this was updated. Let's see. This was updated Friday morning as well. He has Indiana in the tournament, but playing in the first 4 in Dayton as one of those 11 seeds in the play-in game against Boise State on either, Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. That's fine. Get us in. Just give us a chance. Give us a chance to play in the NCAA tournament. If you were to win that game against Boise State, let's see where he would put you. That would either have you going to play Missouri or play Arizona. I don't love either one of those matchups, but that's fine. I don't care. I just want to make it to the tournament. So one major bracketologist says we're still in. One says we're still out. Regardless, we don't hold the cards anymore. And that's what's unfortunate here is you played like crap against Oregon, and it really just came back to what Mike Woodson's teams have looked like all season long in his entire short career here. They played exactly like they've always played. And I hate to say it that way, but it's true. But we've had people say that much harsher and in much uglier ways, apparently. And Oumar Ballo, Indiana center, had some comments about just that yesterday postgame. We'll talk about that and wrap it up here in our final segment right here on the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. when I started using Monarch, right, and I had several apps, and I was like, all right, well, I'll add it on here. We'll see what the difference is. But it really is above all the other ones. Monarch, you can check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long term goals. You can do everything in one. Where I was having to use multiple for those things, Monarch is the way to go for all of those. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So if you've got your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, you can use this together and feel a little bit safer about your financial future. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. All right, final segment here on today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers, and appreciate you being here, and alluded to it there at the end of segment 2 as we get into our final segment 3. And I hate that it came down to this, and I hate that it does come down to this a lot of times. In sports, fans are very passionate. Fans are very vocal. Fans are very engaged. And especially this time of year, right, where the stakes are at an all-time high. Everything is up for grabs. You want to win. You want your team to be right. You want your team to win. At the end of the day, you want your team to win. And fans, unfortunately, don't have a filter a lot of times and don't know how to just shut up at times, I'll say. And look, I'm a fan as well. So I'm looping myself and everybody into this conversation here. We've got to remember we're talking and cheering and paying these kids. That's what they are. They're young kids, young adults, young kids. Yes. And I understand that since they're being paid, they are young professionals and you expect them to perform. Totally get it. But Oumar Ballo yesterday in the post game, when he was sitting in front of his locker at the Big Ten tournament, reminded us that they're human. And if you haven't seen the video, go check it out. You just search Oumar Ballo post game comments. It'll come up, where they were asking him about the game and about the season and kind of where it was going. And he just kind of went on this tangent, I guess, but that comes with a negative connotation, I guess, towards him. He goes on this spiel, I guess, about fans need to take it easy. Fans need to remember that we're just human, that we are trying to play basketball. And he said it got a little excessive when you lose a game and you check your phone and your DMs are just full of death threats, death messages, and words that you can't say on a microphone. That's sad, man. That's really, really sad. And there was a follow-up to that immediately by one of the reporters who asked if this was IU fans or just fans in general. And he said, not the true fans. So the true fans, the real fans don't do this, but all the other ones have, and it's got to stop. It's got to come to an end, is what he said. And man, it's really upsetting to hear somebody talk like this, whether it's for your team or not. The fact that they are out there giving it what you hope is their all, trying to win, and they want to win just as bad, if not worse than you do, right? But I do fear that this whole idea of fans letting their thoughts be known and messaging players and ripping them on social media, this has just been, it's grown so much and it's been expanded. It's just has skyrocketed because of social media and because of sports gambling. I think those are two big parts of it. And I'm not saying either one of those things are bad, but it's true. And whether you're an Indiana fan or not, somebody had money on that game yesterday, don't you think? And if you didn't win, you're probably pretty bad. You're probably pretty ticked off. And I'm sure this happens all the time at the highest levels and at the lowest levels. And so my message to you as we wrap up is, remember that you're a fan. Remember your place. Remember that these are student athletes, that these are guys and ladies who are competing at the highest level, right? the highest level of college athletics to try and win for your school. And if they do, celebrate them. And if they don't, lift them up. And if you can't do that, then don't be a fan. Then go somewhere else. And I'm not talking just directly to Indiana fans. I'm talking all fans of all sports of all levels. If you can't do those things, go find something else to do, is how I feel about it. Because this video of Oumar Ballo broke my heart. It did. It was depressing. It was upsetting. It made you angry for him and upset for him and his teammates. We got to be better as fans. We have to be better as fans. And whether that's at IU or whether that's across the board in college athletics, we just got to be better and understand that they're people, man. They're people, and they really are trying. So go check that video out. But I felt it necessary to talk about that here in a short segment on our way out here on a Friday. Just be better, fans. Just be better. All right, that's it. We are out of here on this Friday edition of Locked On Hoosiers. And unfortunately, we're sitting on pins and needles come Selection Sunday, but we'll have an immediate reaction for you on Selection Sunday. So make sure you've got your notifications turned on. You don't want to miss it. My prediction, I think we're out. I think they leave us out, but I hope that they don't. We'll find out come Selection Sunday, and then another full episode back right here on Monday. Okay, Hoosier fans, have a great weekend. We are back on Monday. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.